The entertainment world was already reeling from the sudden and shocking death of Chinese actor Menglong, a man who had been known not only for his striking looks and rising career, but also for the clean and gentle image he projected to millions of fans. Yet, just when many thought the story had reached its tragic conclusion, a new revelation exploded across media platforms, throwing the entire narrative into chaos. Whispers turned into headlines. Banned substances had allegedly been found in the very room where the fatal incident took place. This single detail threatened to overturn every earlier conclusion, igniting fierce debates and endless speculation about what really happened that night. From the beginning, the official stance was simple, almost too simple. Menglong had fallen from a high-rise apartment after drinking, and the death was declared an accident. Authorities presented their findings in clinical terms, assuring the public there was no foul play. Yet the public, already suspicious of the speed and finality of that announcement, never seemed fully convinced. Fans noted the inconsistencies, the unanswered questions, and the unsettling silences in the timeline of events. Why were the surveillance cameras not fully functional? Why had certain details been withheld until much later? Into this atmosphere of doubt came the latest storm, claims that controlled substances, items that should not have been anywhere near Menglong, were discovered right inside the crime scene itself. The ripple effects were immediate. On social media, comments poured in with fury and disbelief. Some cried out that this discovery was the ultimate evidence of a deeper conspiracy, proof that the incident was never as straightforward as officials insisted. How could they call this an accident if there were banned substances in his room? One fan raged online. Others asked darker questions. Had you been forced to ingest something? Had he been lured into a trap? Or was there an attempt to tarnish his image even in death? The speculation spiraled out of control as theories of coercion, criminal networks, and cover-ups multiplied with each passing hour. What made the revelation so volatile was the contradiction it posed. If substances were truly found in that room, then the neat conclusion of accident no longer fit. It would mean negligence at best, manipulation or murder at worst. Fans, already grieving, now felt betrayed. They had trusted the official word, however reluctantly, and now they saw it collapsing in front of them. Anger poured into the streets of the internet. Hashtags demanding justice for Menglong trended for days, and petitions circulated calling for a reinvestigation of the case. In cafes, in universities, and in fan circles, the conversations echoed the same refrain: "There is more here than they are telling us." The unease only deepened when commentators pointed out the broader implications. Yu was not just any actor. He was a public figure who represented a clean lifestyle, someone who had carved out his reputation against the darker corners of the entertainment industry. The idea that banned substances could have been associated with his name, let alone discovered in his final moments, felt both unthinkable and cruel. Was someone trying to rewrite his legacy? Was this an attempt to shift the narrative away from possible culpability of others? Or was it, more disturbingly, an official attempt to discourage further investigation by smearing his reputation posthumously? Some industry insiders even suggested that powerful forces might have been involved, seeking to close the case quickly before it spiraled into a scandal that could shake entire networks of influence. They pointed out how swiftly the official accident conclusion had been issued, almost as though the script had been written in advance. They questioned the selective release of information, the sudden clampdown on online discussions, and the aggressive prosecution of those who voiced alternative theories. The discovery of substances in the room, whether real or rumor, became a rallying cry against the official narrative, a symbol of the people's refusal to accept silence. Meanwhile, Menglong's family found themselves trapped in a cruel spotlight. His mother, who had bravely spoken to the press, asked for peace and begged the public not to spread speculation. Yet even her words were scrutinized. Was she being pressured? Was she silenced by unseen powers? Fans read between the lines of her brief statements, looking for hidden meanings, desperate to believe that she too doubted the story she had been told. Her pain was palpable, her loss undeniable, But the absence of clear answers only fueled the suspicion that she was not free to speak the full truth. At memorials held by fans across China, grief mixed with outrage. Posters with Yu's face were surrounded by candles and flowers, but also placards demanding the truth. "We will not let them bury him twice," one sign declared, a poignant statement against both death and the possible erasure of justice. Online, fan forums meticulously dissected every piece of evidence, real or rumored, including this explosive claim about substances in the crime scene itself. To many, this single detail was the missing puzzle piece that proved the death was far from an accident. To others, it was proof of how deep the rot ran, that someone was planting stories, evidence, or both, to ensure confusion and chaos clouded the case forever. As the day stretched into weeks, the discussion no longer centered solely on Yu Menglong's personal tragedy, but on the wider issues it exposed. Could the justice system be trusted? Were celebrities being used as pawns in games far larger than themselves? What did it mean for ordinary people if even a star with millions of fans could vanish under such mysterious circumstances, with the truth buried under layers of rumor and counter-rumor? The discovery of banned substances, real or not, became more than the clue. It became a symbol of everything rotten, everything unresolved, and everything people feared about the world they lived in. And yet, as dramatic as all of this sounded, there was a final twist that could not be ignored. For as the storm of outrage reached its peak, careful voices began to whisper another possibility. What if the shocking claim itself was nothing but a rumor? What if the story of substances in the crime scene had been fabricated, planted online to fan the flames of suspicion and keep the public in perpetual outrage? Could it be that this discovery was not a discovery at all, but a weapon, one designed to manipulate the narrative, distract from the real facts, and divide the people who sought justice? The irony was crushing. In a case already defined by shadows, even the light of revelation might have been an illusion. And so, the truth for now remains out of reach. The public clings to hope, suspicion, and anger, torn between grief for the man they lost and fury at the unanswered questions. But one fact is clear. Whether substances were really found in that room or not, the people no longer believe in the simple story of an accident. They believe in secrets, in hidden players, and in a narrative far darker than anyone will admit. Only at the very end, when the smoke clears, does the revelation emerge. The supposed discovery of banned substances in Yu Menglong's room is, for now, nothing more than an unverified rumor. Yet a rumor powerful enough to reshape the entire perception of the case, leaving behind a haunting question that no official statement has been able to silence. If this rumor could feel so real, then what else are we not being told? What made this revelation impossible to ignore was that multiple reports began circulating, not from anonymous accounts, but from sources claiming close access to the investigation. They spoke of supposed records, internal whispers, and statements suggesting that substances had indeed been seized in the very room where Yu Menglong spent his final moments. The rumor spread like wildfire, amplified by influencers and gossip sites until it began to feel like an undeniable fact. For those who had doubted the accident conclusion from the beginning, this detail became the ultimate proof. For those who had tried to believe in the official report, it was seen as betrayal. Suddenly, the public was not only demanding answers, but also demanding accountability from those who rushed to close the case. The circulation of this claim fueled outrage across all layers of society. Social platforms were ablaze with fury. One post declared, "They lied to us," shared tens of thousands of times. People pointed out the contradiction between a so-called thorough investigation and the alleged presence of substances that had been conveniently left out of the official report. If such evidence truly existed in the room, how could the conclusion still be accident? How could the police deny any trace of foul play? To many, the rumor transformed into certainty in their minds and suspicion into anger. Some suspected powerful figures in the entertainment industry had intervened, while others whispered about darker interests trying to silence the case before it spiraled further. Even international outlets began picking up the story, not necessarily verifying it, but reporting on the firestorm it created. What had once seemed like a domestic tragedy in China was now on global screens. The beloved actor dead, the swift declaration of accident, and now the dramatic suggestion of banned substances discovered at the crime scene itself. Commentators abroad noted the paradox and drew comparisons to other high-profile cases where truth had been buried under layers of denial. Menglong's case became a symbol of secrecy and suspicion. But it is important to note, much of this global attention was based on the rumor itself, not on independently verified evidence. At the heart of it all was the human pain. Fans who adored Menglong clung to these claims with desperation, searching for answers that official channels had failed to provide. The image of substances lying in the very room where he died carried a heavy symbolic weight, painting him not as someone who simply stumbled after a night of drinking, but as a victim caught in